Hey everybody, I'm Michael, and this is a speedrun for Carol Reed Quarantine Diary. I managed to beat the game in 29 minutes and 11 seconds. The time starts when I hit that, the start button. Not the start button, but the no button. Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm kind of zooming through everything here, yeah. Basically, it's a point-and-click adventure game. So, in order to speedrun the game, you have to click very, very quickly, and you have to have good navigation. The game's pretty linear. There are only a few places where you can, do things in a different order. Normally, it's you go from point A to point B to point C, and so on. Okay, so we start off the game, as you saw, by clicking through pretty much all the opening scenes. You go into Carol's bedroom, you pick up her phone, you have to wait a while, several seconds before that map thing shows up. That's a map tutorial, and here's a tutorial here about the menu, and here's a tutorial about the map. Yay! Okay, so we're gonna start by going to John Brand's house. You need to use the door knocker.
When I go No,
This
I'm
is
not
the only time we use the door knocker. We're gonna visit her house several times throughout the game.
Yes.
Mostly here at the start. We visit it like 3 times in a row.
I have to go. That's not.
So we have that conversation about her son, and we basically skip through the whole thing. You just click to skip a line of dialogue. So you go upstairs, and then you rush over to Alvin's room, you pick up this, and that gives us a location. So when we get back to the map, I'll point out, take a look at what happens to the cursor when you go to the map screen now. See how the cursor disappears for a little bit? That's just how it works in this game. So you can move the cursor while the cursor is not on screen. And that's something I do regularly. So I'm gonna move the cursor here. I'm gonna try to move it to Jonna's house. I can't see where the cursor is, so I have to guess. I do that every time. So obviously it would be super fast if my guesses were correct. All the time, if I was 100% correct and always managed to have my cursor right on the area that I'm trying to click, what you do is you click on the name of a place in order to go there. Now, most of the time we have a place like that where it's just blinking, and so you know that's the thing you want to click on. When something's a new location for you to visit, you have the little blinking thing on the map. So here I'm going to leave immediately, go to the old railway museum in the lower left. I go here. You're supposed to explore this entire area, but it turns out you can do that. Just go there and then turn around, and then that's it. That's it. You actually don't have to explore that area. So now we're going to go upstairs and enter a passcode into Alvin's tablet. We were supposed to, look at all 4 numbers. So those were in the 2 train museums that we went through. But as you saw, I basically just skipped through that area instead of actually finding those numbers. The game doesn't actually require you to find those numbers. That's neat. But it does require you to visit both places. And since you visit the 1 train museum first, well, that's how you do it. I visit the 1 train museum first and then the next one. Okay, so the thing on the tablet talked about this scavenger hunt. So it's going to be a long scavenger hunt. We're going to spend most of the game trying to solve this scavenger hunt. Here you're going to run forward. You're going to grab this. Make sure not to double click, because if you double click, that will move the thing on the key. That block will move back on the key, and that has screwed me up before while doing this speedrun. Alrighty, so here we're going to leave and we're going to go right to exit. The exits are not incredibly consistent throughout this game. Here you want to take a look at this. There are 2 things in this location. You want to look at this, and then you want to pick up a wrench. And this is one of the few places where you can make a decision. You can meet Jasper now. That's the person who wrote that note. Or you can go back to this tennis court first and solve this puzzle. It's a really simple puzzle about the area you were just in. The answer is 3121. And that tells us to go to the lousiest place in Norrköping. So now we're going to go to Jasper. And Jasper actually knows what the lousiest skate spot is. So like I said, we could visit Jasper first, but it's a lot faster to visit the tennis court first. Because otherwise you'd have to visit Jasper a second time to come back to ask him about the terrible skate spot. So it's, even though, you know, you have your option of visiting Jasper first, don't take it, it's slower. Alright, you need to see that piece of wood. That gives you the clue, which lets you go here. And this says it's the ramp by the Anaby area. Let me go back to talking about exits. So here, you just walk straight forward into the exit. The exit is straightforward. Let's see where Anaby exit is. You want to look at this. You have to look at that, otherwise the game won't let you out of this area. So here are the exits to the left. So with this game, you just sort of have to memorize where all the exits are. Okay, so here we're going to solve a puzzle using those compass directions we just saw, and the clue, which we did not actually see. The clue is on one of these things here. You'll see it a little bit on the right there. Okay, you probably didn't see it. You can do a close-up on that area, but I didn't. So, yeah, turns out you don't have to look at that. Okay, so here in the Adventure Golf, there are two things you need to do. Do this one first, and the one is on the other side of the Adventure Golf, and you sort of have to do a U-turn in order to reach it. So it's faster. See, it was those podiums, 1, 2, and 3. So, and here the exit is to the right. So just memorize where all the exits are. You have to memorize where to turn, too. So there you want to turn as soon as the roof of that building disappears. Here you go forward, and then you U-turn and leave. That's one of the few places where you actually have to go forward in order to U-turn, believe it or not. Okay, so the item we just picked up from that location goes over there. Yeah, so getting back to the miniature golf. Yeah, there are the two things you have to see, but it makes more sense to do the right one first, because to get to the left one, you have to U-turn, and, you know, if you do the right one first, you'll already be going towards the exit, and so you'll already be in place for the U-turn. So you won't have to U-turn twice. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Alrighty, so here you need to turn left, and then left again. That's what you really need to look out for. And also, the navigation's a little tricky in that area. You'll notice, while I was going forward, I had to turn my mouse, move it a little bit to the right. Because there's no spot, there's no sweet spot in that location where I just leave my mouse and then I click, and I don't have to move it at all. So there's a couple of places in the game where you could just go forward without having to move your mouse, but that is not one of them. I also kind of messed up the navigation just a little bit there at Marie Hoff, trying to find the man there. And here we go. We're going to finish with this location. You do need to zoom in on that to get that particular item. And now we're done with this spot. We're never going to visit again. Yeah, see, like there, I just go straight forward. I don't really have to move my mouse left or right. That's nice. Here you have to move your mouse a little bit to go around that big thing which is in your way. And this is a trash picking challenge. You just need to memorize where all the various pieces of trash are, which is not too hard. Two of the pieces of trash require that instrument he gave us. And that's basically it. Everything else you can just pick up on your own. You go across the bridge. And let's see, I think we go 2 forward and then right. And then we go left and then 2 forward and right again. And that's it. Carol's gonna say she's done with it. Oh no! So that's me messing up the navigation. Interestingly enough, leaving that place is a lot easier than going to it. You can just go in a straight shot when you're exiting, but not when you're entering. I don't know why that's the case. So he shows us where the real ramp is. It's over here. This navigation's kind of nasty. Looks like I did it pretty well. Yeah, but it's a really tight corner there, so it's not the easiest to get around. And we have to do it twice. Again, I find it easier just to leave this location than it is to enter this location. So here you just want to go all the way there at the start and then go back to the start. Very specific route you have to take. And there you have to go up left. For this, you're going to use your wrench twice. I imagine if anybody's using this video as like a video walkthrough, hey, here's how to beat the game quickly, it's going to confuse you. So this is a math puzzle. The solution is click the middle one 4 times and you click the right one 5 times. So that's turtle and sheep. You want to click on this number thing in the middle. And then it says, hey, by the way, there's something else underneath the Marie Hoff ramp. So we're going to run back there. Kind of messed up the navigation there. I wonder if it's possible to beat this game in 29 minutes. I bet it is, because I have a couple of places where I mess up the navigation. My navigation's not ideal. So you'll notice whenever you pick up an item, you have to wait for that item thing to disappear from the top of the screen. Like, look here. Yeah, so the inventory, you have to wait for the inventory to disappear before you can click, because if you click while the inventory thing is still on the screen, well, then the inventory thing waits like another half second before disappearing. So sometimes I mess up the timing on that, but that's a way you can speed things up. Now, you could have gotten that thing from the kitchen anytime sooner. Like, we visited the house multiple times here. Here I'm clicking the buttons in a very specific order according to the message on the tablet. Yeah, so you could have picked up the thing from the kitchen earlier, but I picked it up here because I need it here, basically.
E503.
So I basically got it, you know, at the same time I need it. This is... Yeah, I kind of messed up the navigation there, too, with the climb thing. If you're good enough, you can just click there without having to, like, remove your mouse. So as you saw, if I click at the top of the screen, it does nothing. If I click towards the bottom middle of the screen, then we have that climb thing, and you can climb it. All right, and then here we have some more conversations. This is Carol's friend. Alright, you go to the garage, you open up this.
I don't...
Yep, and you need to look at that in order to get this message from Jonas. You have to sit and wait for a moment before Carol gets the location on her map. That's what that thing is, by the way. If you're wondering what's the thing, that's what happens when a location's added to the map. Like right here. Yeah, that's actually a sped up version of that background music you just heard, the Carol Reed theme. So here, you'll notice I was just able to use the key right away. Oh man, that's a navigation error, not clicking in the right area to grab the item. There's an area to the left that you can click on. I think you can zoom in on it, but it doesn't have the item you want, so it's sort of like a fake out area. Now, this game is a little inconsistent sometimes when it comes to whether or not you need to see a door is locked before you can unlock it. Now, I'll point that out later on in the game. It's more apparent towards the end. So, hey, we just got the address of August, and he is Jonna's boyfriend,
Okay,
and she wants somebody to clean his house, so he just hires Carol.
So...
Okay, so navigation's a little weird here, because you have to take 2 steps forward into this particular room, and I have to take the step backwards, so left, backward, left, forward, and then we go upstairs. You need to see this door is locked before you can use the key on it. So that's totally different from that one door we just opened, and it's totally different from this lock. You don't need to check this lock before using the key to open it. So I don't know why that is. I don't know why some locks you need to double check, but that's just the way it works in this game. Alrighty, so that piece of paper we saw gives us the passcode for this. Minor time saver here, looking at the thing on the left, but we don't look at the thing on the right side of the handbag. Another time saver, we didn't actually look at the note which indicated the handbag was there. So that's another time saver. Here you want to turn and grab this. You can grab this at any time you go to August's house. Navigation can be a little bit tricky there. It's easy to overshoot the turn there, especially because you only visit that area once. Whereas, hey, we go inside Jonna's house so many times, it's really easy to memorize the navigation. Okay, so the phone passcode is 4235. That was listed on his tablet. And this tells us about the Crystal Bridge.
I want.
You want to click through that conversation, and you do need to look at that piece of paper. The game will not let you leave that area unless you look at the piece of paper and the phone. Okay, so Crystal Bridge, you want to take a look in specific spots here.
I think.
It's basically that specific spot. You need to climb up this and just turn around, that's all. And then we're going to climb down and leave. That message we got was about the Carver Fountain, so we're going to go back there. I should point out, every time we visit a new location, there's going to be like this small black and white screen, which flashes on screen for a while. And you do have to click to get through it. So if I didn't click, the black and white screen would be there for quite some time, just a couple of seconds. So that's something you have to do. You have to double click whenever you click on a location. See that black and white picture right there? It's just it's a cute little scenery thing. I imagine it also does a little bit of loading time. Because you'll notice as soon as the black and white thing shows up, the background music changes. So maybe it's a loading thing, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a background music thing. I don't know. So here I'm saving time by grabbing the face mask and not looking at the slide. You can look at the slide for some optional dialogue. But I am skipping that. Okay, so here we talk to Jonas. And he says, hey, you can use Photoshop. Okay, so we have to navigate this. It's kind of tricky. Oh, messed up my inventory thing trying to grab the phone there. But yeah, it's a little tricky because you visit this area twice, and each time you have this rather specific navigation that you have to do, and it's different both times, and they're sort of back-to-back. Okay, there I totally messed up, went the wrong way. And here I mess up again, right? Instead of turning right, I accidentally turned left. But the good news is, I did mess up in a helpful way. So, if you look at the other door, the door that leads into Carol's bedroom, there are two doors that lead to her bedroom, but there's one in the hallway, and then there's one from the living room. This living room, we went through that door earlier. So if you look at her bedroom door from the one in the hallway, there's a tutorial screen, which says, hey, if you click the space bar, you can see if there are any items you can click on. So I'm purposely avoiding that tutorial screen. So it's actually kind of good I messed up there. Managed to avoid that little tutorial screen. You saw at the very beginning of the game, we had the tutorials. We had the 3 tutorials in a row. One for the map screen, one for the main menu, and then one for the map screen again. Here I'm just mixing these items in my inventory together because I forgot to do that earlier. Generally, as soon as you get an inventory item puzzle or an inventory item that's on the screen, you want to do it right away while that inventory thing is still there at the top of the screen. Otherwise, you have to move your mouse to the top of the screen and then combine the inventory items. So it's faster to combine inventory items as soon as possible. I'll point this out in another spot coming up soon.
I will try.
Here, this is kind of a pesky thing in the game. You just sort of have to memorize the order in which you visit the houses, because you have to visit Jasper's, and Jasper's not there. You have to visit August's, and that doesn't work. And then you have to go back to Jasper. So yeah, no new locations there. It's traveling to old locations. And so you just have to memorize the order in which you visit those places, as opposed to, say, here at Hitchin Banks, which is obviously the place you're going to go to because it's the only new thing on your map. We have 2 things here. We have the wrench, and you have these directions. Similar to that previous skateboard ramp where you had a wrench and then you had a piece of paper to look at. All right, so here's where I was talking about with combining inventory items. I'm going to do it here, while the inventory item thing is at the top of the screen. And you can see that's a bit of a time saver, a minor time saver by mixing those inventory items right away. I didn't do that while mixing items for the bottle inside Carol's house. My mistake. So that's another place where I sort of messed up. Okay, this is another door where you don't really need to look at the door before opening it. And that mural on the wall is the solution to this puzzle. Fortunately, the solution is the same every time. I should have closed that diary thing a little bit sooner, actually. I think I
Yes,
hesitated
I
a
can
little
only
bit. Oh yeah, also with the cursor, you'll notice when we have conversations, the cursor disappears during conversations. I'll point that out in another longer conversation. But just like the map screen, the cursor momentarily disappears during conversations. So you do need to zoom in on that. And there's another tricky place to navigate, because in order to go inside the shed, you need to have your mouse over the door. But in order to approach the shed, you need to have your mouse on the right-hand side, which is not where the door is. So you just have to move your mouse to the left rather quickly. Navigation here can be difficult as well, so it's right and then up and then left and then up. Left, up. You need to take a look at this piece of paper. Let's see, I think it's right? No, right, forward, left, forward. Got it perfectly. Okay, good. And then leave. There are like 2 whole other rooms that you can visit, but they're empty. Like this house, there are rooms that I'm not visiting inside this house. I don't know if it's apparent that I'm skipping rooms, but there's like this big bathroom and a laundry room, which I'm skipping. You have to take a look at that piece of paper. For whatever reason, you can't close that as quickly as everything else. The game sort of focuses on it for a while. I don't know. Okay, so what happened? Okay, yeah, I got a message from the train museum guy. That's the sort of thing, like, you know, it's sort of a long game and there's so much to have memorized that, gosh, you know, you can easily slip up on something because there are just so many steps you have to take in this game in a specific order, especially if you're skipping the conversations and not listening. There you need to try the door before you can zoom in. Here there are 2 pieces of paper on the table, but I am skipping the one. There's one that you can skip. And I'm just grabbing this key and leaving. So that's a time saver, skipping that particular piece of paper. Here you have to look at that door before you can use the key. And you have to look at this piece of paper. It says to stand in a specific spot, which is here. I think our next conversation's gonna be with Jonas, so I'll try to point out the conversation thing next time we go to Jonas. For now, I'm still doing the scavenger hunt. Here you just need to memorize memorize where you're supposed to go. And you take a different route while leaving than you do while going here, and that kind of throws me off a little bit. So you just go right. You go right and then forward all the way, and then right, forward all the way, and then right to the exit.
I might.
Alright, take a picture right away, and here's another spot where it's kind of tricky to aim because we've got like 10 things we can go forward and you're supposed to stop at, I think the 5th or 6th one. So as soon as that white tree appears on the screen, that's when you stop and take a left. And it can be tough to stop at the right spot when you're going at high speed. Okay, so the owl stroll it is. That's our next spot. We're gonna go left here. This is another place where navigation's tough, because that sign has a surprisingly large hitbox. So it's really easy to accidentally click on that sign when you're trying to go to the right, past the sign. Okay, you need to look at that before you can use your reacher to grab it. And then all these items are always in the same place every single time. You just need to memorize it. Just memorize where they're located. That actually took me a really long time, surprisingly long time. Because like here, this is 1 step forward. And then I think next is 2 steps forward. 1, 2, yeah. And then next is gonna be 4 steps forward. And then left. Oh yeah, and they switch sides. This is a door that you need to click before you can open it. You need to see that it's locked before you can open it. And then you kind of have to go back to the trail. Yeah, that's sort of a little detour. And we're done with the puzzle. So now we're gonna talk to Jonas. And the mouse can be moved during conversations. I've been doing this for every conversation in the game. I click on the conversation option and I move my mouse down slightly to click on his next conversation topic. And yeah, that's basically how you handle the conversations in this game. Try not to click on the same conversation topic multiple times. That's obviously a time waster. But as you saw there, he doesn't say the exact same number of words every single time. So, you know, sometimes he's saying a lot and you have to move your mouse down a lot. And then sometimes he just says like 2 words like, oh, what do you mean? Which is a really short line. Actually, wait a minute. I'm not clicking on his responses. I'm clicking on Carol's responses. My mistake, yeah. Sometimes Carol says a lot. I messed up there. I accidentally looked to the right looking for a sign when I should have looked to the left. Darn.
I think that...
Memorizing those, the placement of those signs is really, really difficult. And anyway, we're almost done with all the conversations in this game. Okay, we got the message. That can be kind of tricky there with the phone there, because Jonas's message, if you want, you might accidentally click the button, which you're not supposed to click, which is reply, and you don't actually reply to Jonas. No, you need to click on the picture to zoom in on it, and then you click on the send button, which is in the exact same spot as the reply button, so it can throw you off. This is tricky as well, because you need to back away and, I don't know, you need to click to pick it up and then back away. This is also a tricky location to navigate, because on the way there, you're going left, but on the way back, you're going right, if that makes sense. Okay, back to the skate hall. We take a look at this. That's a somewhat tricky area. You have to wait like a half second for that thing to be in Carol's inventory before you can pick up the key. Because if you click on there, it doesn't zoom in on the key. It just thinks you're trying to interact with the cap again, which you're not. And you have to put the cap back on, too. I think that's part of the trickiness. Okay, back to the bridge. Here we need to go under the bridge in order to climb under it. But on the other side, you have to be outside of the bridge in order to climb up. So that's something that's a little tricky. The two bridges, the edges of the bridge, they're just not, they're not parallel. They're not exactly the same, which makes sense, I mean. But it is kind of tricky because the navigation's different on both sides. Alrighty, and then here we turn around. See, we're clearly outside before climbing up. Alright, there we go. And we need to leave here. Almost done with the game, actually. Next, we're going to Jana's house. We're going to check out a thing on the phone, which I did not check out earlier because it's locked. So it's the My Files. And here, I believe you have to click on these pool cues in a very specific order. So the one that lights up the ball on the far right, you have to click on that one first. And then you can click on the other three in any order you want. But yeah, you do have to start with that one. Or at least, that's what it seemed like to me. Okay, restore these two things. Here's another place where it doesn't really matter which order you pick. You have to look at those two things that showed up. It doesn't matter what order you click on them. Okay, here you need to turn around and grab this. So this is going to be a key. This is going to be a key. You do need to check the door before you can use the key. And then immediately after, we're going to get this key for the post office box. And you don't need to click on the post office box before you can use the key. As I said, it's kind of inconsistent as to whether or not you need to click on a door in order to use the key on it. So yeah, with the manager in the skateboard park, we had to click on that door. But there are plenty of doors in this game where you can just use the key on the door if you've got the right key. You don't need to double check that it's closed. There, I kind of messed up. So with the crematorium and the skate park, you notice they're at the very top of the screen. And it can be kind of hard to click on those locations to go there because the game might think you're trying to access your inventory, because that's where your inventory is. I don't think it's obvious here, but there are two exits, so I'm not actually going back the way I came. I'm taking a right here and exiting there. So I'm actually taking a different exit from the one I entered from. And then this is a conversation.
No, we've been... What? I hide and not...
So here you just be quiet for a while. Because she automatically shouts at you there. And I can't skip this dialogue.
It's time to come clean with August. I hope he's home now.
I don't know why that particular line of dialogue can't be skipped. Only line in the game that can't be skipped. Okay, so this conversation is the last thing in the game. So
thank you.
The time is going to end now.
Thank you again, Carol.
And that's it. So that's the last time you click in the game. And then the rest of this video is just going to be the ending scenes. So that's how you play the game. That's how you beat the game in under a half hour. You have to click very, very quickly, and you basically have to memorize the entire game. That's how you beat the game in under a half hour. You could probably beat it in under 29 minutes. I think that is totally possible. I pointed out various places where I made more obvious mistakes with my navigation, but there are smaller places where you can improve the navigation, like when you have to move your mouse to select a new location on the map. Get that perfectly every single time. Boom, that will shave a lot of time. Also with all the conversations, moving your mouse perfectly every single time. That saves time as well. Okay, so I'm going to stop doing my commentary here, but you can keep watching to see the ending. The ending probably won't make much sense to you because I sort of skipped all the conversations and a good part of the story. So thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed my speedrun. If you enjoyed this game, I'd recommend purchasing the game yourself from the website. The developers are MDNA Games. I also did a video walkthrough for this game where I don't play the game super quickly, so you can also watch that if you want to get a better sense of what the game is like when you play it casually.
It's not always that closing a case brings about a feeling of satisfaction. But at least Alvin's death was explained, and August's life possibly saved. Other than that, not much has changed during the summer. But as the days are getting shorter, colder and darker, we're hopefully close to the last days of quarantine.